Hey guys, we've got another bear book today to work on our bear unit, but this bear is definitely different. He's not a real bear at all. He's a stuffed bear. And so this story is a fiction book. That means the story is not real. So we're going to read about this book, and you probably may have this book at home. I know my kids did when they were little. And the name of it is Corduroy. And the author and the illustrator is Don Freeman. That means he wrote the words and he drew the pictures for the book, which that makes him very talented, doesn't it? And at the end of this book, we're going to talk about the setting and the characters in the story and what the problem in the story was and how it was solved. So I want you to think of all those things while I'm reading it, all right? So, Corduroy. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in a toy department of a big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. The store was always filled with shoppers buying all sorts of things, but no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. Then one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Not today, dear," her mother sighed. "I spent too much money already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost a button on one of his shoulder straps." So there's the little girl and her mama. She calls her mama Mummy. So I wonder where they live. Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. "I didn't know I'd lost a button," he said to himself. "Tonight I'll go and see if I can find it." Late that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and the doors were shut and locked, Corduroy climbed carefully down from his shelf and began searching everywhere on the floor for his lost button. Suddenly, he felt the floor moving under him. Quite by accident, he had stepped on the escalator, and up he went. Could this be a mountain, he wondered. I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. It's not a mountain though, is it? He stepped off the escalator as he reached the next floor, and there before his eyes was the most amazing sight. Tables and chairs and lamps and sofas, and rows of beds. "This must be a palace," Corduroy gasped. "I've always wanted to live in a palace." Let's see if it's a palace. What do you guys think? No, it's just the bed section of the department store, isn't it? He wandered around admiring the furniture. "This must be a bed," he said. "I've always wanted to sleep in a bed." And up he crawled onto a large, thick mattress. All at once, he saw something small and round. "Why, here's my button," he cried, and he tried to pick it up, but like all the other buttons on the mattress, it was tied down tight. He yanked and pulled with both paws until pop, off came the button, and off the mattress Corduroy toppled. Bang into the tall floor lamp. Over it fell with a crash. Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store, the night watchman, who was going his rounds on the floor above. When he heard the crash, he came dashing down the escalator. "Now, who in the world did this?" he exclaimed. "Somebody must be hiding around here." He flashed his light under the sofa and the beds until he came to the biggest bed of all, and there he saw two fuzzy brown ears sticking from under the cover. "Hello," he said. "How did you get upstairs?" The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator and sat him on the shelf in the department store with the other animals and dolls. Corduroy was just waking up when the first customer came into the store in the morning, and there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was that same little girl he'd seen only the day before. "I'm Lisa," she said, "and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night, I counted what I had saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home." "Shall I put him in a box for you?" the sales lady asked. "Oh, no, thank you," Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. And she ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment and straight into her own room. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside a girl-sized bed stood a little bed just the right size for him. The room was small, nothing like that enormous palace in the department store. "This must be home," he said. "I've always wanted a home." Lisa sat down with Corduroy on her lap and began to sew a button on his overalls. "I like you the way you are," she said, "but you'll be more comfortable with a shoulder strap." "You must be a friend," said Corduroy. "I've always wanted a friend." "Me too," said Lisa, and she gave him a big hug. So where is this story happening? Don't you like that story? I love the ending. This story happens in the city, doesn't it? Because Lisa lives in an apartment. She had to go up 4 flights of stairs to get to her apartment. And the characters in the story are the bear, Corduroy, Lisa, and Lisa's mother, and the watchman. What else? What's the problem in the story? Corduroy wants to find his button, doesn't he? So that he can get to go to someone's home to be bought. But in the end, he didn't need a button at all. Lisa got him, and then she sewed him a new button on. So I hope you like that story as much as I did. And we have a writing activity afterwards, so you'll have to click the next button to do that with me.